welcome back to the Locana Search channel. And today we're gonna be looking at set 10 Amethyst cards that have been revealed so far. And I'll get right into it. So first off, we have Minnie Mouse, Amethyst Champion. This is one of the cards that every color seems to be getting that is rewarding you for playing that color cards. So this says it's 4 into 3, quest 2, whenever one of your Amethyst characters is finished, in a challenge you may draw a card. I don't think that's too strong, because Amethyst already has a lot of like actual draw, not just draw that is conditional on your opponent finishing things in a challenge, so I don't think this is very good. Next up we have the Horned King, 4 ink 3 for quest 2, shift 2, and whenever one of your other characters finished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand and choose and discard a card. I think this is bad. Before, like, unless they add some cards that reward you from discarding, like give you rewards for discarding cards, like cards that would do something on discard, then this might be good. But until then, I don't think it's worth it to lay a badly statted mini like character to have this effect, because the effect isn't even getting you card advantage. So that's bad. Then we have just a one in 2/2 quest for 1 Horned King. So a shift target that other one. But this is only played if the other one is good, or other Horned Kings are good, and or if somehow a king deck somehow becomes meta at some point. Doubt it. So I think this is not good either. Okay, then we have Cauldron Born. It's a 5 ink 6/7 and inkable and quest for 1. So this is just a vanilla creature. In this set they are pushing the stats, so before we wouldn't have gotten this many stats for 5 ink and inkable. So I mean 6/7, that's good stats for the cost, even if it was 6 mana. But I mean, all jokes aside, I think this is not really playable. Unless we are playing limited, but I don't think this will see standard play because it doesn't have any tags and it's just a meatball. Next up, we have Magica De Spell, Shadowy and Sinister, 3/3/4, quest for 1. When you play this character, you may shuffle a card from chosen place, discard into the deck. I don't think this effect is worth anything, so this is not playable. Okay, next up we have Lena Sabrewing, Mysterious Duck, 4 ink 3/3, quest for 2. When you play this character, if you have a character location in play with a card under them, gain 1 lore. Way too conditional for the effect. So, and I don't think gaining 1 lore is even that big a reward if you are jumping through these hoops. And you have a lot of competition in the 4 slot for like card draw and like better effects than this. So I don't think this is good. Then we have Iago, Stomping Mad, 2 ink 0/2 inkable, quest for 1. Challenger 5. I don't think this is like Challenger 5 is like seems nice, but in actuality it only like it threatens to like trade up, but in actuality it will just sit there doing nothing, and it will like when it is exerted it will just like get killed like for free. So I don't think that's very good. I mean, it's not like horrible, but I don't think it's like core constructed viable. Next up, we have Violet Sabrewing, Senior Junior Woodchuck, 2 ink 3/1 evasive quest for 1. So just a copy of the what we've seen earlier on One Alpha One Speeds and Pegasus, and for Ruby, and I'm not sure if there's other ones, but yeah, just the same card for Amethyst, and it is an ally. So I think this is good, um, especially for Amethyst Steel, because like if Dumbo is still playable, which I think it might be, then it's good to have like uh, 2 ink evasives that are actually evasive all the time, because now Amethyst Steel has been playing the 2 ink 3/2s that like are evasive on your turn only. So this is definitely better than those, because this can start like questing if the opponent doesn't have anything that can deal with evasives. And even if they do, it probably like goes 1 for 1 in the early game. So I think this is good label. Um, next up, we have Elsa Exploring the Unknown, 1/3, quest for 1. When you play this character, you may draw a card. It's solid, but Amethyst does have a lot of draw already. So question is if you need something to fill the curve. And I guess some color combinations with Amethyst will. So I think this will see some play. It's nothing like special, but it's solid. And if you're playing like the Elsa Shift line, then this is very very playable, because it gets the effect off and the body isn't anything you really care about like shifting on. So I think this is playable. Next up, we have Duckworth, Ghost Butler, 3 ink, uninkable, 3/1, quest for 2, and rush. And during your turn, when this character is banished, you may put top card of your deck face down under one of your characters or locations with boost. Okay, so I don't feel this is that exciting. It is a rush character, which there aren't that many at the moment, but it's not that great. I would rather this be a 4/1 and quest for 1 than have this extra questing power, which I don't think it's kind of contradictory to this card, because you really want to use this as removal, but then you don't really care about how much it quests for. So, and the ability, I don't know how reliable it is, like, or like how many cards with boost you are even using. So it's hard to evaluate the final act's power. But yeah, okay, I'm probably gonna say this is not gonna be played, at least in the meta decks. Um, next up, we have Nibs, Lost Boy, 4 ink 3/3, quest for 2. When this character is banished in a challenge, return this card to your hand. This is not playable in core constructed, because this effect is way too slow, and we've seen this effect already on previous cards, and it's not been that great. So yeah, not good. Okay, next up we have the Horned King, Triumphant Ghoul, 2 ink, inkable 2/2, quest for 1 during your turn. If one or more cards have left the player's discard this turn, this character gets +2 lore. Mm, currently, having cards leave the discard is not that usual, like it's not that common. Um, usually you have it with maybe like if you're playing Maui Shark and get things back from the discard, or you're I mean, previously you would have had like Chernobyls, you could have summoned from like cards with the discard, but that's not legal anymore in core, so mm, I don't think this is that good, and the reward is getting to more lore, which we can already like, if you want a free quester, we can just have an uninkable 2 cost, and we can get that in a lot of colors, so I don't think this is very good. Next up, we have Creeper Loyal Lackey, 6 ink, inkable, 5/4 quest for 4. So it's just a big meatball that can quest a lot. But we already have a new card uh, that will deal with this, like a new Zeus, which we'll get to when we review the steel cards. But also we already have strength, which is often can be like enough to deal with this, and this is only like comes in late game unless you're playing it with Sapphire, and I don't think Sapphire is looking for meatballs. Like if you're playing it late game, then it can be destroyed like on pennies with a lot of things. So I don't think 6ing for a thing that does nothing on play is very playable. Okay, next up we have Coldstone Reincarnated Cyborg, 5 ink uninkable, 5/4 quest for 2. When you play this character, if you have 2 or more gargoyle character cards in your discard, gain 2 lore. And it's also a gargoyle and an ally. So this effect is good, gaining 2 lore is good. It's just gonna depend on how reliably you will have 2 or more gargoyles in your discard. I think it's more likely if you're pairing this with discard effects like Steel, if you're playing 1 cost Mulans or something that cycles. So you will go through your deck faster and get some gargoyles in the discard. But um, I don't think this reward is like enough um, to be uninkable. We could be playing a Giant Cobra uh, and get this effect by discarding a card, and it's cheaper and inkable. So I don't think uh, paying 2 more for this mediocre body is worth it. So I'm gonna pass. So unplayable, in my opinion. Next up, we have Magica De Spell, Spiteful Sorceress, 5 ink, 3/6, quest for 2, and the ability to read whenever you put a card under one of your character's allocations, you may move 1 damage count from chosen character to chosen opposing character. I think this ability is like not much to add to this card, so just moving 1 damage when you are putting cards under, I don't think that happens a lot when you are putting cards under your things. Like maybe once a turn if you're really using the boost a lot. But even then, you're moving 1 damage counter. That's not really, that's like game changing. So we are getting an like 3/6 in stats, which is understated, and question number 2. So I don't think this is good. Unplayable. Okay, next up we have Nana, Canine Kekirer, 3 ink, 3/3 inkable. Quest for 1. When you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to return chosen character with cost 2 or less to their player's hand. We had this effect in, I think it was Reign of Jafar or Acacia's Island. My memory is not that great, but we had the Amethyst Ruby card that dealt 2 damage, and you do this. So now it's on discard when you get to do this effect. I think the on damage was better because you could use that damage, you could move it around. So and discarding is just you're losing a resource for sure. So I don't think this is very good. I don't think losing a card is worth the tempo because you can gain the tempo with better cards usually. So I don't think this is very playable. Next up we have Demona, Scourge of the Wyvern Clan, 6 inkable, 5/6, quest for 2. When you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Then each player with fewer than 3 cards and add draws until they have 3. And it has the Stone by Day, which all the gargoyles have with these. Or at least I think a lot of them have. If you have 3 more cards in your hand, it can be ready. I think this is very good. I've seen a lot of discussion on this card, focusing on like if it's good to have a card that is like uh, has the effect mirrored, so your opponent will get the cards too if they're down on cards. But I think that doesn't really matter when the card is inkable, so uh, this will never be a brick like in your hand that does nothing, so you can always ink it if the situation is bad. And I don't think it's ever like bad. It's like you will always like get some value out of it. And then I think this exerting all opposing characters has been really like overlooked. I think this effect is super strong. We don't have that on a lot of cards. So getting this on an inkable card that is like a solid body, 5/6, is nothing like to scoff at 6 ink. So your like 5/6 body would like usually like to be playing like the fair rate for that would be 5 ink. So we're playing only 1 ink for this ability, which potentially like gets us card advantage, and even if it doesn't, it uh, will exert every opposing character, which will get us board advantage, which is even more important. The drawing cards is even like I think the secondary effect on this. Like we don't really care about that effect that much. The exerting all opposing characters is the big deal. So I think this is very good. One of the better cards of the set. All right. Next up, we have Hades looking for a deal. 5 ink, inkable 3/4, quest for 1. And the ability reads: when you play this character, you may choose an opposing character. If you do, draw 2 cards, unless that character's player puts that card on the bottom of their deck. So basically, the ability reads: you get the whichever is worse for your situation at that point, but so most of the time it will be the draw 2 cards because you will choose your opponent's best creature or character on board, and they will most likely not want to get rid of that, so you will draw 2 cards. I think the best things to compare this at the moment would be Finders Keepers, which is also 5 ink, but it's an action and it draws 3 cards, but you don't get anything, like you don't get the character. So you will get 1 card less, but you get a 3/4, which is, in my opinion, worth it. Because, like, this game is currently a lot about fighting for the board, so having some board presence is better than no board presence. I don't think this is like game breaking or anything. It's not like super broken or like, yeah, it's not gonna be the best card ever, but I think it's just super solid. And like what like makes it so easy to evaluate is that fact that it's inkable, so it is definitely playable for sure. How good it's gonna be, it's hard to say, but it's definitely gonna be played in like meta decks. But it's hard to say like if it's gonna be the best card in the deck or like if it's just like solid. But yeah, definitely fair play. Okay, next up we have Olaf, Helping Hand, 1 ink, 2/1, quest for 1. When this character leaves play, you may return chosen character of yours to your hand. I think the ability is solid, but I'm not sure yet on if you can really get use of like because it's on when this leaves play, so you could potentially bounce it back to your hand and then use it also. Like if you play like a Madam in Elephant, you could bounce this, and then you may bounce something else. But can you really like? Do you want to be bouncing a lot of stuff back to your hand? Not often, I don't think. So this ability is better like late game, but it's a 1 cost. It is a 2/1, so potentially it could like trade into a well, maybe now it's just trading into that 1 cost. So maybe it needs to be a 3/1 at this point to like actually trade into like a 2 cost. So probably not that playable because the ability seems really it's good, but it's like clunky to use because realistically you need to like challenge this to something, then it gets vanished and then you return something to your hand. But I don't think that's really gonna work out. All right, next up we have Ursula, Whisper, Vanessa, 5 ink, 4/5, quest for 2, it's also inkable. Has boost 1, and then it has the ability while there's a card under this character, she gets +1 lore and gains basic. So you could look at it as a 6 cost 3 quester that has a basic, and it's 4/5, which is solid because currently this was like compared to a TikTok, which is 6 cost for 7, but it only quests for 1, so it's like in the same ballpark. It has 2 more questing power, but 2 less health. But it doesn't have the stats outright. Gains evasive only when you boost it. So potentially, if you are playing this on 5 and you don't have the ink to boost, then it's gonna be more vulnerable, like then that turn because it could be exerted by something and run into with non-evasives. It's probably okay, but I'm not sure how like what decks are currently looking for this big 3 quester that doesn't have any like on play ability. I could see this seeing some play like 1 or 2 copies in some decks, but probably not like a huge need for this in a lot of decks. All right, next up we have Can't Hold It Back Anymore, 4 uninkable action song, and it is exert chosen opposing character, move all damage counters from all other characters to that character. Exerting something is cool, but it is uninkable, and moving the damage is probably not that good because it's good if there's a lot of damage, but then it's probably gonna um, die anyway. And then why are you not playing the 4 inkable action that just moves the damage counter from everything to something, and you draw a card for each damage moves, and that like if you are really having a lot of scenarios where there's a lot of damage, that's way better. So I think this is just bad compared to that, and that doesn't even see a lot of play. I don't even remember what that's the card is called on the top of my head. So yeah, probably not playable. And next up we have Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, 2 ink item, and the ability is exert, pay 1 ink, banish this item, draw 2 cards. This I think is solid because it's just 3 ink to draw 2 cards, which is a good rate because we are already seeing decks play Finders Keepers. Well, probably that's like borderline because probably as there's more sets, people who don't want to be playing that anymore because it's like very slow. But this is just better than that because you're getting the card draw for cheaper because you're getting 2 for 3 instead of 3 for 5. So the rate is a bit better. It's also always better to be cheaper because you can fit it uh, into place. Like you could play on 5, you could play this and a 3 cost, and then next turn you could do the drawing if you don't really need to draw instantly. But you could also draw instantly because it's an item. And you could use the ability right away. So I think this is playable, and it has some potential on reviving actual item decks. But you don't even need any item synergy for this to be good, which is like a good sign because uh, that's pretty far away still. I think we're not really close to an item deck being like meta. But this is a solid card. Okay, next up we have the Great Illuminary, Abandoned Laboratory. It's a 2 ink uh, location, inkable, 1 lore and 3 willpower, and the ability to reach characters gain exert draw a card while here. And it costs 1 to move there. I think this is probably not playable just because it's so easy to destroy this because it only has 3 willpower. But where I could see it, like maybe, is in the uh, combo deck slot for the Monstro Donald Duck Dale combo, the one where you draw out your deck Monstro. So this could, you don't need to play Donald Duck anymore. You could play this, or you could play both to have more consistency. But yeah, you could like this is just a combo piece essentially in my eyes. I don't think this is a value piece because you can have better card draw than this in decks. So this is a combo enabler if it is anything. So you would play this and Monstro and you would draw to your deck and then figure out a way to win from there, which currently is the Alander Dale. And we know the way. But if that doesn't work, then I don't think this card sees anything. Alright, that's all those cards. Okay, here we have the cards. So we have, first off, we have 2 ink uninkable Merlin completing his research. He's a 0/3, quest for 2, does boost 2. And when this character is banished in a challenge, if he had a card under him, draw 2 cards. Yeah, I'm gonna press doubt on that. So press X to doubt. So you would need to pay 4 ink in total to have a card that quests for 2 and draws 2 cards on banish, which it definitely will get banished because it's only at 0/3. And yeah, I don't think we need to look at this any further. Maybe it's a shift target for Merlins, but yeah, that's even more copium. So yeah, nope. Okay, this is a new card that's not yet on the Dreamborn. So it's a 3 ink item, inkable, uh, Grimorum Arcanorum. Um, I guess. So during a turn, whenever an opposing character becomes exerted, gain 1 lore, and your character's named Demona gain rush. I think this is playable, at least, because we only have 1 Demona currently revealed, right? Which is the one that draws the cards and exerts everything, but it does combo with this because if your opponent has a white board, then potentially we're gonna gain a bunch of lore when we play the Demona. And we could also gain rush. Yeah, I think this has potential because it's potentially a lot of lore gain, and if your opponent wants to deny that lore gain, they would need to exert on their turn, and that is obviously might be bad for them because you could then take good trades. So I think this is playable, okay. And how good it is depends on like if there's more Demonas that are playable than the one, but maybe that even the one is like enough. So probably not a 4-off in like decks, but maybe like an option. Yeah. Okay. Next up we have 4 inkable Mushu Bragging Dragon. It's a 4/4 quest for 2, just a vanilla. It is a dragon, so for the 2 people that are waiting to build their Sisu dragon deck, it's 1 more dragon. And for the rest of us, I say no thank you and move on. Okay, and that's also the last card, so I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.